All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're diving into a paradigm shift that is, quite literally, rewiring the modern workforce faster than anything we've ever seen. I mean, we are standing on the edge of a massive transformation here. AI is basically doing to cognitive work what electricity did to manual labor. The rules of the game, they're completely changing. But hey, don't worry. Yes, the landscape is shifting incredibly fast, but we're going to lay out a super clear, empowering roadmap for you today so you can adapt, leverage this crazy moment, and absolutely thrive. Okay, so here's the game plan. We're going to kick things off with the reality of the AI job extinction, and then we'll get into why degrees are actually losing their value. From there, we'll zero in on the exact skills of tomorrow, take a look at a really fascinating case study on extreme agency culture, and then we'll wrap it all up with your AI survival playbook. All right, I want you to just look at this number for a second and really let it sink in. 300 million. According to projections from Goldman Sachs, that is the staggering number of jobs that will vanish to automation globally by the year 2030. Think about that. That's roughly the entire population of the United States. The stakes are absolutely huge here. And this isn't some distant science fiction, It's happening right now across major industries, from finance to manufacturing. So let's jump right into part one, the AI job extinction, or as I like to think of it, the meteor hitting the modern workforce. If you're in a white-collar career, this moment is basically the equivalent of the meteor that took out the dinosaurs. We're already seeing entire divisions at Fortune 500 companies being run by AI agents, literally replacing thousands of human employees with just a handful of hyper-efficient algorithms. Just look at this quote from Dario Amodei, the CEO of Anthropic. He predicts AI could wipe out roughly 50% of all entry-level white-collar jobs within 5 years. 50%! The basic data entry, the simple analysis, the exact tasks that used to be a new grad's entry ticket into the corporate world, they're just evaporating. Now, to understand why this is happening, you really have to grasp one core concept: pattern recognition. This right here is the underlying physics of AI. If your job can be boiled down to a predictable pattern, say reviewing standard legal contracts, categorizing accounting expenses, or routing customer support tickets, it is highly, highly vulnerable. See, AI doesn't need to actually think like a human does. It just needs enough data to spot and replicate those patterns way faster and way more accurately than we ever could. And this comparison brilliantly illustrates the cost of ignoring those shifting patterns. Think about Kodak. They actually invented the first digital camera prototype, but management totally dismissed it to protect their traditional film business. They clung to the past, ignored the digital wave, and filed for bankruptcy in 2012. Now, compare that to Adobe. When generative AI hit the scene, they didn't fight it. They totally embraced it, baked it straight into Photoshop and Illustrator with Firefly, and their stock has grown nearly fivefold since 2020. In this new era, just standing still is your biggest liability. Which brings us to part two. Degrees are losing value and how employers are structurally reacting to all this. Because the nature of work is transforming so incredibly fast, the job market is starting to look way past traditional credentials. Check out this data. A recent survey shows that 1 in 4 employers, 25%, say they're going to eliminate bachelor's degree requirements for some roles by 2025. And it goes deeper. 7 in 10 hiring managers explicitly stated that they now value relevant experience over a traditional degree. It's a huge shift. And honestly, from the employer's point of view, this makes perfect sense. It's a massive win. Of the companies that already dropped their degree requirements, a whopping 84% said it was a highly successful move. Why? Because they get a huge surge in total applications, they pull from a much more diverse applicant pool, and, yeah, in some cases, it gives them the ability to offer lower starting salaries. The whole corporate filter is actively changing right in front of our eyes. So the crucial point here is that the old markers of success are fundamentally fading. A recent Indeed report found that half of Gen Z workers now view their college degrees as a complete waste of time and money, specifically because of AI's impact. The incoming workforce gets it. They realize that spending 4 years memorizing things an AI can spit out in 3 seconds just isn't the competitive advantage it used to be. All right, moving on to part 3, the skills of tomorrow. What actually makes a worker future-proof? Well, if degrees are losing their shine, what does matter? The World Economic Forum actually surveyed employers for their Future of Jobs report, and the data is super telling. Look at the top core skills anticipated for 2025. We're not talking about coding languages or rote data processing here. It's analytical thinking, resilience, flexibility, agility, and leadership. Employers are desperately hunting for cognitive adaptability and emotional intelligence. They need humans who can navigate pure chaos and lead teams when the playbook just keeps changing. And we can actually map those exact skills directly onto the most resilient career sectors right now. If you're looking for a future-proof refuge, look at AI builders and architects, the people actually designing the tools. Look at cybersecurity and AI safety. Clean energy is absolutely booming. Wind turbine technicians alone are projected to grow by 45% this decade. Then you have healthcare and biotech, which require deep human empathy and trust. And finally, skilled physical trades, roles that require complex physical dexterity that robots are nowhere close to mastering yet. Okay, part 4, the extreme agency culture. This is a really cool case study in how to actually thrive amidst all this chaos. To get a clear picture of what this future-proof worker looks like in the real world, let's look at Palantir. They pioneered this very specific role called the Forward Deployed Engineer, or FDE. Now, unlike your traditional corporate gig where you sit in a cubicle and someone hands you a neat little list of requirements, FDEs are thrown straight into the fire. They're embedded directly with clients, often in government or defense, given almost zero problem definition and basically told to just figure it out. They have to solve highly unstructured, amorphous problems. To even survive in that kind of environment, you need a very specific mindset. And it's summed up perfectly by this internal Palantir mantra: low ego, high ops tempo. Basically, it means you don't care about your job title, you don't care about getting the credit, you only care about operating fast and delivering real-world outcomes. You take massive, absolute ownership of the problem. And guys, that exact mindset is exactly what's going to be required to thrive in this new AI-disrupted economy. And the results of forging people in that kind of fire are wild. This extreme agency organically mints entrepreneurs. Roughly 10% of all Palantir alumni have gone on to launch their own startups. They've basically created this massive founder factory with over 335 tracked companies out there right now. When you train people to be hyper-adaptable problem solvers instead of just pattern followers, they inevitably end up building the future. Which leads us to our final section, part 5, your AI survival playbook, how you can actually navigate this shift. So, how do we apply this extreme agency to your life right now? Well, we've boiled down this complex career advice into 3 super digestible, highly actionable steps. Step 1, audit your job for patterns. Step 2, become a builder. And step 3, own assets. Let's walk through each of these. Step 1 is all about doing a brutal self-audit. I want you to evaluate your daily tasks right now. Does your job run on predictable patterns? If you're basically just moving data from column A to column B all day, you need to pivot immediately. You've got to look for internal transitions or totally new career lanes that demand high human trust, physical presence, or complex, unstructured problem solving. You have to get ahead of the curve before the wave actually hits your desk. Step 2, become a builder. Look, the barrier to entry to create your own value has completely collapsed. AI gives you massive, unprecedented leverage. A single high-agency person, someone acting with that low-ego, high-ops tempo mindset we just talked about, can now use AI to produce the output of an entire traditional team. So use it. Launch a side hustle, start a service, build your own business. Treat the AI like it's your brilliant co-founder. And that brings us to step 3, own assets. Because the job market of the future is going to be incredibly volatile, relying solely on a regular W-2 income is getting riskier. You need a safety net. You absolutely must protect your purchasing power against inflation by consistently investing in compounding assets, like an S&P 500 index fund, for example. Ownership is your ultimate financial shield in an era of rapid technological disruption. So we've covered a massive amount of ground today in this explainer. The meteor is absolutely screaming toward the modern workforce. There's no denying that. But the beautiful thing about this moment is that unlike the dinosaurs, we can actually see it coming, and you have the extreme agency to adapt to it. So the only question left to ask yourself is this: when the dust finally settles on this paradigm shift, will you have chosen extinction or evolution? Start your evolution today.